What's good, beautiful people? Welcome back to Arsenal Fans USA. I'm your guy, Orlando, and we're here fresh off of a 3-1 win for Arsenal versus Liverpool at the Emirates. And wins versus Liverpool, even at the Emirates, don't always come often, but when they do, they're sweet. And today, it's even made even sweeter because we announced to everybody, put everybody in the Premier League back on notice that we are back into the title race and we are serious contenders now. And Plump, I know this is going to be your farewell tour because before this game, he announced that he's going to be leaving Liverpool, but Mikel sent you off with a nice little L on your way out because we are back and we don't care about nothing else but Arsenal and the Gunners, man. And we are looking strong. And this is the run of show for today. First thing we're going to do is talk about the three things that we learned from Arsenal versus the Liverpool win because there was some juicy insights in today's match, tactics-wise, and just overall feeling and opinion. My personal man of the match, and definitely want to look ahead to that clash that we have versus West Ham on Sunday, February 11th. That's going to be another big one. But back to this one, let's start it off with the three things that I learned. And the first thing that I want to touch on is Super Mikel Arteta. Put some respect on my manager's name. Y'all sing the song. Y'all know what it says. Super Mikel Arteta knows exactly what we need. But every time we hit a period of slumping, everybody starts doubting the manager. People get it wrong. He's a human. And let's not forget that this is his first time as a manager. And he's a manager of probably one of the biggest clubs in the world, not probably, one of the biggest clubs in the world in Arsenal. And he's learning on the job. And each year he's learning new things. And I know it's not the beautiful football that we saw last year, but this is a more mature team. And because even though we're not looking as silky smooth and fluid as last year, we are picking up points and we're winning big matches. The mentality behind this Arsenal team before Mikel Arteta to the mentality is of the team now is totally different. So I don't understand why we keep down Super Mikel Arteta because he's the man for the job, and we just got to continue to trust him because today he was spot on with every decision that he made from the starting lineup, inserting Jorginho in at the 6, inserting Kai Havertz for Gabriel Jesus, who obviously, his hand was a little forced because he was hurt, but putting Kai Havertz up top, I felt like all of those are masterstrokes today because Kai Havertz, although we could probably argue that he should have got a goal, maybe one or two touches better here or there. I feel like he had an overall phenomenal match and added exactly what Gabriel Jesus typically adds to the team. Jorginho today, that man was beautiful to watch in the midfield. He controlled the team and was just so composed on the ball and added a lot of leadership that I felt like we've been lacking in the game management since Granit Xhaka has left the team, if I'm being honest. And that's something that Jorginho adds to the team. And then you throw on top of it those decisive through balls that he's able just to thread to Saka and Odegaard and just everybody on the pitch, even when he pings it across the field to Martinelli. It's beautiful to see. So shout out to Mikel Arteta for, putting those two into the lineup and watching and just seeing the impact they were able to make. But part of a manager's job is not just what he does before the match, but what he also does during the match. And Mikel Arteta made some big decisions today with his substitutions, starting with Kawar coming in for Zinchenko and Martinelli coming off for Trossard as well. Starting with the Kawar one, I felt like that made a lot of sense today. In the tactics, you can see Mikel Arteta this week told Zinchenko to sit more as an actual natural left back, which makes sense when you're going against an amazing world-class player like Trent Alexander-Arnold, who we saw that ball that he put in there was, he put that perfect little ping ball in for Nunes late in the game. But that man is amazing. So, we did not need Zinchenko tucking into the midfield in this game to try to be an extra midfielder. We needed him to be defensively solid. And if you're asking for a player to be defensively solid, you might as well put Kawar in because we all know that's not what Zinchenko's style is. But being the leader that he is, the player that he is, he does reserve the respect to still start. But I felt like that was a masterstroke from Mikel Arteta to take him off to make our backline even more solid after the mistake in the second half. And then Martinelli, I know he scored a goal today off of we could say it's a mistake off of Alisson and Van Dijk, but I do feel like Martinelli does force the issue there. But besides that, and maybe a couple runs that he did have in the first half, because he was the outlet a lot of the times today, I still feel like Martinelli's not having his best season, and Martinelli still, he still has levels to get to because he's still a little bit raw. Although he's naturally talented, pacey, super talented player. Obviously, was tied lead scorer for our team last year with 15 goals. I'm not saying he's not a talent, but he's still a little raw. And I felt like Trossard coming in at the time that he came in and obviously paid off with the goal that he got at the end, going right through Alisson's leg to kind of seal the 3 points. So I feel like Mikel Arteta, he was just spot on today, making all of the best decisions that won us the game. And he was just so spot on that. I heard a lot of flack from the pundits when I was watching the game, just overall talking about Mikel Arteta's general mannerism and excitement when he's on the sideline. How can you talk about another man's passion? Like, isn't that what we want? We want our managers and our players and the people that represent us and represent the badge to be passionate for us. So don't tell me he's too passionate on the sideline. Like that is somebody that clearly cares, and that is something that we've been lacking and missing for Arsenal a long time before he became our manager. So I am never going to complain about seeing it in abundance now. Moving on to the second thing that I learned, and honestly, this is nothing that I've learned, but it's more of a confirmation campaign because I feel like this is the year Bukayo Saka is putting the whole world on notice and letting y'all know. I don't know why I continue to disrespect my boy. Like, he is not a world-class player. Bukayo Saka hot chili is a baller. And if you can't see that with your eyes, you are clearly blind or you do not know the sport of football. And yes, I'm an American, but I'm going to call it football just so y'all understand that we're talking the same language right now. Because if you talking football like I'm talking football, there's no way in hell you think Bukayo Saka is not a world-class player. Like, that's crazy to me. He is the only player since Alexis Sanchez for Arsenal to have consecutive double-digit goals and assist seasons in all competitions. He's leading our team in the Premier League in goals and assists this year, and I think in all comps overall with 11 goals and 11 assists, and in all comps and 8 goals and 7 assists in the Premier League. Man is a baller. He's inevitable. Everybody keeps telling me this player is more naturally talented than Bukayo Saka. That player is more naturally talented than Bukayo Saka. But you can't tell me none of those players are more productive than Bukayo Saka. And ultimately, when you get between these lines, it's all about what you do on the pitch. And Bukayo Saka is leaving it all between the lines every single time. Whether he's having a bad game, a good game, a mediocre game, it don't matter. My man finds a way to make an impact, and that's what world-class players do. They find a way to make an impact, whether they're having a good game or not. They just find a way to play at their level consistently. And that's what Bukayo Saka is. He is consistent, and he is the new standard. And that's why y'all keep having my boy naming y'all out, because I understand he is the new standard. He's where all y'all new talented wingers, where y'all want him to be at, coming out of y'all academies. But he played for this badge. Like I keep telling y'all. So put some respect on Hot Chili. He going to make sure y'all put some respect on his name, because after this year, there's no way anybody in the world of football is going to say Bukayo Saka is not a world-class talent. Moving on to my last thing that I learned this match. I just want to shout out Kai Havertz. I've been a supporter of Kai Havertz. I feel like he does add a lot to the team, and I feel like people sometimes have an image of what they want a player to be, and especially with a price tag like Kai Havertz has. But I feel like he is a player that adds something to the team. Every time he plays, whether it's his pressing or just his presence, because he's a big physical lad, and I feel like he does use his body well. And now that he's gotten a little bit more confidence over the last few weeks, he's taking players on. He's taking the ball down, chesting it, beating a man, and taking a dribble. And today, he should have got a penalty. That was a penalty in the box today. McAllister did not get anything other than his leg. He chopped him down in the box. Maybe you can say this is what gets us all frustrated with Kai Havertz, is that he probably should have scored before Saka came in and eventually got that rebound when he had the 1v1 versus Alisson. But everything else before that was perfect. And that's the same problem we have with a lot of players in Arsenal and just a lot of players in general. We already know what his flaws are, but I think we need to start focusing a little bit more on what Kai Havertz's strengths are. And it's maybe not as obvious, but there's a player there, and there's a reason why every team and every manager he plays for tends to play him and play him often. And there's a reason why he's a Champions League winner. He's one of 2 players on our teams that can say that. So let's put a little bit more respect on Kai Havertz. I think like he put a shift in today, and he played his ass off, man. There's no other way to say he played his ass off. But moving on to my man of the match, and I don't even like shouting out 2 Chelsea players, ex-Chelsea players in a row, but Jorginho, he don't get enough credit, man. Every time Jorginho comes in, he just controls the midfield and adds a maturity to our midfield that since Granit Xhaka left, like I said at the top, we've been kind of missing. And Kai Havertz and even Emile Smith-Rowe last week have been struggling to kind of fill that maturity gap. And I feel like it just sometimes him in midfield until we get Partey back might be the best option, just because it then frees up Declan Rice, and we can also be more flexible where Declan can be a roaming 8 sometimes, and then in certain periods of the game we can have a double pivot with him and Declan at the back. And not have to lose anything because they're both very smart tactical players that can quickly transition in and out of that. And just today, Jorginho was phenomenal. I don't feel like he jumped off the screen to most people, but just the things that he was doing today was just so neat and tidy. And so certain passes to Odegaard and Saka today that just unlocked play. It were certain periods where we were doing our normal thing where we were, passing the ball around and looking very passive, and then the ball will go back to Jorginho, and he will quickly just cut two players out of the play to get the ball to Saka 1v1. Boom, quick cut two players out to get Odegaard into space, cutting into the field on his stronger left foot. So, it's the simple things that he does amazing, and sometimes we don't want to give that the plaudits, but today, Jorginho is my man of the match just for that, the simple things. He completed 87% of his passes today. I just feel like it was a very mature, professional performance today. And shout out to him. But wrapping this up, we're going to look ahead into the match. Next week, Sunday, we have a big match versus West Ham, another London derby, I should say. West Ham are coming off of a 3-0 thrubbing to Man United. They got thoroughly dismantled earlier this morning before our matchup. But overall, they're playing a lot better than they did last year. They're currently 7th in the league. So, definitely they bounced back strong after the near disastrous campaign they had last year. So we got to go there with our, ready to play, because if we're not ready to play, they can definitely still get us. I know they might be without Lucas Paqueta, their best player, but that's West Ham. They still have a lot of talented players over there. David Moyes is still a really, really good manager. And don't forget, the last time we saw them, they did beat us. So we got some revenge. We got some revenge that I think we need to go claim in that game. And I think we're well poised to do so after a big win versus Liverpool. It's a road match, but we tend to play well on the road, and since Mikel Arteta has come in. So for me, looking ahead to that match without going too deep into it, I think we're going to win that game 2-0 because we need the clean sheet. We've been trying to get that for a while now, just to kind of build on something. And I think this is the perfect moment to do so, because after this, we have a great run of fixtures in the Premier League. Obviously, it gets a little bit more complicated when the Champions League comes back and we have Porto games to account for. But even during that time, it's some really good fixtures that we really should win. And then it starts to get tricky again when we see Chelsea and Man City back to back in March. But until then, we have a really, really good run of games where we can start to really continue to build on this and, slowly climb back up that top of the ladder, man. You might see the elephant on that branch one more time, and hopefully it's a little bit more sturdy this time. So this has been my post-match reactions for the Arsenal match today. Shout out to everybody that watches the content. Arsenal Fans USA, please be sure to like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts about the match as well in the comments. We would love to engage with you guys. Until next time, peace.